Welcome to the Soul Deep Podcast with Jessica Janty. Join me as we dive deep into raw, real, in-depth conversations about life, love, relationships, sexuality, spirituality, what it is we're really here for, and anything in between. I want this to feel like a safe space for anyone on a spiritual journey, trying to find answers in your truth by having open heart and open-minded conversations. And my hope for you as a listener is that you feel this is a safe space here, a place to hear things from a different perspective that may challenge you and your thinking in the best way possible, allowing you to give grace to how you've been raised or what you've been taught or told to believe. And perhaps you find your truth as I search for mine on this journey we call life. So grab your favorite drink, cozy on up to your couch or wherever you listen from, and join me for these soul deep conversations. Welcome to the Soul Deep Podcast with Jessica Janty. I'm so happy you are here. I'm glad that you found this podcast, that you've found my corner of the world here. And I'm excited that we are here together. And I thank you for being here. I thank you for listening. This podcast really has been a labor of love for me. So I've had this idea to do a podcast for about 2 years now. And 15 months or so ago, I actually made the intro and decided what I really wanted it to be about. And it has taken me this long to piece together how I want it to look and be and feel, and to record episodes. And then the techie side of things is not my strong suit. So putting this all together is solely me. This is a one person project. I have lots of wonderful people that I've asked for information and have helped me along the way, but putting it all together has been solely me. So thank you again for being here, because it truly means a lot to me. So this, like I said, was birthed about almost 2 years ago. 9 months ago actually was my first recording. And so as you'll see, as we get into the episodes, there are some older ones where I even talk, I think we're in my first episode, which like below zero. And now I'm recording this in August, because the first few that I have recorded about this first intro have now all felt a little bit like I just needed to update it, because things have happened, episodes have come forward, and I just want to talk about this space and what this is all about. So this space that I want to create here in this podcast is a place of safety, a place of connection, of open-mindedness and growth. And so I want anyone coming here, if you are here, I want you to feel seen and to feel heard, understood, and empowered. I want you to leave here feeling like you've learned something, or that you may think of something in a different way. And so this was really birthed as an outlet for me to use my voice more. So I did grow up, I spent a better part of my life being this good girl. I call myself a recovering people pleaser. So I was a people pleaser and a perfectionist, and I was really afraid to speak my mind. I was afraid to speak my truth, or to really allow myself even to have an opinion and let it be heard. And I don't know that anyone has ever told me I couldn't speak up or speak out. I don't really have a recollection of that. I just know that with the way that I was brought up, I was really terrified of going to hell. I was terrified that if I did one wrong thing, I was going to go to hell. And so that really played a significant role in how I lived my life, how I showed up in the world, how I literally lived in fear for so long. And so there's just many things that we didn't talk about growing up, and not just because of my family of origin, but that was just the culture. That was the way of life. That's how we were raised, and everyone around us. And it was really when I quit my full-time career, which was almost 3 years ago now, and I'll get into that in probably another episode. But that's when I truly learned that there was so much more outside of this little bubble that I had created around my life. And now that wasn't the first time, I would say, because there's so many different things that have happened over the course of probably a good 10 years or so. But I really put myself into what I call this little bubble of, my family and my corner of the world and where I worked and who I hung out with. And I just didn't ask a lot of questions. So when I did quit, and now I was in this place of like, well, who do you want to be and what do you want to do? There was so many things that came up for me. It was basically, I've called it like a dark night of the soul or a spiritual journey, just different things. I don't really exactly know what to call it, but I questioned so much. I questioned who I even was, what I was meant to be doing in this world, because for so long I really just went with whatever I felt like people needed or wanted me to be, or what everyone else said I should do or say or think. And now, don't get me wrong, because of course I made decisions. I married a wonderful man. We have two teenage children together. I became a nurse. I went back for my bachelor's when we had two small children. I made lots of decisions in my life, but I really outsourced a lot of my power in my decision making, and I based it on what I thought other people would want me to do, to be, to say, to think, to act. And so a big eye opener for me, well, there were quite a few, but the first one that I can say, excuse me, was that I'm a nurse by background. And so being in Western medicine, growing up in Western medicine, that was really the only way that I knew of healing. And I had no idea there were other healing modalities. I had no idea about the foods that you eat and how they can impact your health and the thoughts that you think, and just different things. I had no idea there was other ways of healing. And now I know there's so many healing modalities out there, but just because you don't understand what they are doesn't mean that they don't work or that they're of the devil. That was a lot of what I was brought up in just anything outside of Western medicine was of the devil. And so I just want to make that abundantly clear. If you are here and you are searching for things outside of Western medicine, and now don't get me wrong, let me caveat, I am not here to bash on anybody or anything. I am simply here to tell my story, to share my story, and this is just literally my corner of the world. And so coming from Western medicine, like I said, I do 100% believe that we need it, especially for surgeries and, accidents and just things that you need medical care for. But we've gotten so far removed from using medicine as something that we need as a last resort to using medicine as something that we run to at the first sign of a cough or a cold or a stub toe. Like, there's so much we just give away our power so much when we automatically turn to medicine, when we automatically turn to what is this quick fix for me. There's so much going on inside of our bodies that we need to really figure out what is the root cause. And so I want you as a listener to maybe just take something that you're not quite sure about, maybe you've heard was wrong or not right, and do your own research. So taking this knowledge that you learn here from these episodes and these opinions, and then bringing them to your own self, and in your own mind, coming to your own conclusion. Because truly, that's something that I have found in the last 3 years, is learning to think for myself and learning to really feel into who I am and who I know to be true in myself and what is right for me and my family. And so one of the others was religion. I was really so afraid to do anything outside of what I was brought up in. And I like I talked about before, and I really thought I would go to hell if I even questioned or doubted. And so I did go through a period after I quit where I was questioning everything, going through this spiral, and I really wasn't sure if I truly believed in God. I was questioning him. I was questioning just everything that I was born to think and believe, because for so long I thought it had to be XYZ when there was so much more out there. So now that I don't have this confines of this like bubble that I'm in, and there's so many things that I'm learning that are out there, it really made me question everything that I was just, I don't want to say forced to believe, but just believed blindly. I think that's a better way of saying it. So I really needed to come to my own conclusions and take this through my own filter instead of just listening to everyone and everything, because we are truly given our own autonomy. And so that's what I want part of this podcast to be about too, is just you learning your truth. And so my job here isn't to tell you that you are right or that you are wrong or that, anybody else is right or wrong. It's just here giving information and opinions. And these are just mine. They're my opinions. They're the opinions of the people in these episodes. And so I don't want this to be a place where you come then and bash the people that are here or anybody else's opinion, because like I said, they are just opinions. And so I really want to share with you what I've learned, maybe what other people have learned that are going to be on these episodes. And I want this just to be a safe space for conversation going forward. So no one person has all the answers, the pastor that you grew up with or your parents or your grandparents or a teacher that you really admired. Like nobody has all the answers. They're all just human beings like you and I. And like the doctor that you've been seeing or an energy worker or whoever else it is, like we literally are all just human beings trying to do our best. And everyone processes through their own way, through their own lens. And so how you were taught and how maybe they bring the knowledge forward to the world doesn't mean that they are 100% right, because they are bringing it through. They have learned this information and they're really filtering it through their own bodies, how they were brought up and how they were raised, and their own thinking on it. And everybody has different thinking. So I think that's one of the big points that I want to make, is that we can't just blindly follow somebody without truly understanding it for ourselves. And so I do believe there is a beautiful place for pastors and teachers and healers and doctors and all of that. And so, but I just really want you to figure out and look at things from your own lens. So this is really just an encouragement to listen from as unbiased of a place as you can. And I know that's hard to do because we as humans, we have opinions on lots of things, but really being open-minded to listening and not throwing out judgment the second that you hear something that may trigger you, but in turn, using that trigger as a catalyst for why. So for example, in these last 3 years, there have been different words and things thrown around that it seems to trigger a lot of people, like the word universe or the word God or the word energy, quantum, Kundalini. Those are just the things that I can think of off the top of my head. And so really taking a pause for that moment, and instead of attacking the person that you're listening to or the person that may have said something, but really sitting with yourself and thinking, why did that elicit such a response in my body? And why do I feel like I need to jump on them for that? Why do I feel like I need to judge them for that when I really don't know anything about it? So if you don't know about what you are jumping down someone's throat about, it's really your job to go in and look at that and to really be with it and sit with it and look at it from your own lens. And how do you process that? And we're not all going to be the same. We're not all going to agree, but I want this to be a safe, cohesive place where we can just have conversations and we can support each other in knowing that maybe you don't view something the same as I do, but I will still support you. So this is really just me here, coming here as me, showing up in this space vulnerably and bringing people on that are willing to have deep conversations, deep and hard conversations about anything and everything. Nothing is off limits here. And so in the episodes that I've recorded so far, I have sisterhood wounding, like the toxic feminine relationships, and how do we bring this toxic feminine relationships back to this whole connected place. And that's something that's truly on my heart. We'll talk about witch wounds, somatic healing, cannabis, quantum healing, dance alchemy. I have an author on who tells her story, shadow work, and I'm really excited just about the guests that have been on so far and ones that I have lined up and people that I know that are going to pour in as this gets out to the world, because truly everybody has a story to share and everybody has opinions and different things. And so I just want to bring lots of different thoughts and opinions and things to this space. So I encourage you as a listener, as you come here to each episode, I encourage you to have an open heart and an open mind, because not everything is as you were taught. There are so many different sides, different versions, different opinions. And I'm not saying that mine is the end all be all. That's actually the opposite of what I want this to be about. This is a space where you can come, hear, think about things from just a different perspective, a different lens. And so I hope there are nuggets in each episode that inspire you, that challenge you, inform you, and really make you think about things in a slightly different way than you've thought of them before. And if you're listening and there's something on your heart that you passionately want to talk about in a soul deep conversation, send me a message here or find me on social. I will have everything linked in the show notes. And because these are really my favorite conversations, these one where we get deep into all of these different topics and where we don't fluff over the important stuff or just talk about the superficial. So if this is something that you are interested in, please dive on in. I cannot wait to hear what you think of these episodes, what you think of this. And if this resonates with you, please subscribe to this podcast, share it on your socials, share it with your family and your friends. And as far as these episodes and things go, so I'm going to put episodes out weekly. My plan right now is to be on Tuesday mornings. And yeah, just to come to you here weekly. And these episodes, while we are having these good, deep conversations, it is really hard to get conversations around that hour mark, like under the hour mark. So they're going to be a little bit longer, but trust me, they are so worth it and meaningful. And I truly think, like, if you think of people that have longer podcasts, you've got like Joe Rogan and I think he's the one that at least that has like the longest that I know of. But it's like getting into these really good, deep conversations takes time. And so I really hope that you continue to follow me here. And I just welcome you to this soul deep family.